So I served in the Army National Guard from 2010 through the end of 2017, almost 8 years. And I was an information technology sergeant with the Joint Force Headquarters Detachment at Camp Ripley. And I was also a satellite systems operator maintainer and a automations team chief for headquarters and headquarters troop in the 194 Armored Cavalry up in Duluth, Minnesota. And in June of 2014, I was fortunate enough to be selected to participate in a training exchange program with Norway called NOREX, the Norwegian Reciprocal Troop Exchange. They send 100 of their best soldiers to us. We send 100 of our best soldiers to them. And for just under a month, we cross-train to learn military tactics, survival techniques, weapon systems, sharing of cultural experiences. It's a really great program that's been going on for 40 iterations, but it's always been a winter training exercise. And I was selected for the 41st iteration, and this is the first time it was going to be a summer exercise since 1974, so I was pretty excited. On this training day, with the Norwegian Guard, I was maybe about a week in, and I was in Porsanger, Norway at Camp Porsanger. And on this training day, this training exercise, we were going to be learning how to rappel down a mountainside, 200-foot drop of a mountainside. And I can't stress enough my crazy fear of extreme heights. I don't do well with heights, never have. And so this was an opportunity for me to see if I can conquer that fear. And so we started at the base of the mountain, and I remember we zigzagged up this path for maybe around 45 minutes to an hour. It was a long time. It was a very long climb, going back and forth in a zigzag pattern all the way up to the station point where we were going to be setting up some Swiss seats, rappelling seats, I believe is what they're called, so that we can rappel down. So I get up to the top of this mountain, and the wind is blowing, and I'm so petrified at this point that I can't even stand up. The entire time I'm at the top of the summit, I can't stand up all the way. I'm doing a bear crawl, so I'm on my hands and my feet, and I crawl over to where I need to go because my whole body's shaking. They create this Swiss seat, and they say, all right, here's what you need to do. You need to bound, which is basically, if this was the mountaintop, you're gonna bound, and you're gonna go down a little bit and then bound, and you're gonna kick off, and you kick off for a while, and then you're gonna descend after that. And just kind of like in the movies, kind of like the high speed, the SWAT and the Special Forces, although I'm sure I did not look like SWAT or Special Forces. Just the opposite, just pure terror in my eyes, I'm sure. And so I start rappelling down, and I'm bounding, and as you're in this Swiss seat, you have one hand that's kind of hanging on to correct yourself vertically, and your other hand has the rope going through it, and as you put your hand out, you descend, and as soon as you put the hand behind you with the rope in your hand, you stop. And your right hand is what controls your descent and your movement and stopping you. And so I'm bounding for the first 15, 20 feet, and it's going well, and all of a sudden I can't bound anymore because the cliff goes inwards, and I can't touch it, and the entire cliff goes inwards, and the rest of the way for about 180, 185 feet is just straight down. There is no rappelling, there is no bounding. You're just in a drop. And so you take and you control your descent, and I'm about 180 feet up in the air, and I'm twirling around, and I'm looking around, and I got a sense of calm in me. I'm like, wow, this is great. I feel like I could see the curvature of the earth, which I'm sure I couldn't. The treetops look like broccoli. The people down below look like ants. It's beautiful, and I can't believe that I'm rappelling and controlling my descent and how high I am, but I'm not so fearful. I'm just enjoying it. I'll pause at this point because this is pretty important. I am wearing the Norwegian Army Guard uniform that's provided to us. Love their uniform, looks great. In the middle of the uniform is your rank insignia. And so, and it's in like this little button lapel. And as I'm rappelling down, all of a sudden, and I'm sure I'm probably not in the correct position. I'm probably holding on to the harness too tight. I don't know what exactly I did wrong, but all of a sudden I put my hand out and I can't descend anymore. And I'm not moving. And I'm putting my hand out, I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I look, and my lapel in middle had somehow got caught and was now in the guide harness and in the pulley, and it was pulling through, and it was ripping the jacket, and the jacket started feeding itself up into the pulley. Now this is a huge problem because I'm hanging on only with my left hand just to keep me upright. My right hand has my control and descent rope in it. As strong as I am, I do not have the strength to be able to pull myself up with one hand and pull the jacket and lapel through and unjam it. So I'm kind of dangling here, and I look up, and the people up above can't see me because they're past the cliff, and the people down below look like ants, and they probably don't know what's going on. And I don't know what to do at this point because I can't lower myself, and the jacket and my lapel is just feeding into this harness. I have no way of getting it out. And after twirling there for what seemed like an eternity, I felt like I only had one option at this point, and it felt like something out of a movie. So I took out my Gerber folding knife, and I took out this big knife, and I whipped it, and it unlocked open. I took the knife, and I started sawing back and forth on my jacket and the lapel, and I only had an angle on me where I didn't have a whole lot of options, but the angle I had to go nice and slow because I was cutting against the jacket and lapel, but if I cut too hard or too fast, it was gonna go through and start cutting the rope. And the last thing I wanted to do was cut the rope and, free fall 180 feet to my death. So I'm cutting and I'm cutting and I'm cutting and trying to make sure, and I'm looking, and finally I cut all the way through, and because my hand is up here and my hand is holding my descent harness, as soon as I finally get through, there's this big jolt because I'm not stopped. My hand is not behind me. So, it pulls, and I put my arm behind me, and I'm kind of jerking around, and I'm dangling, and I got free. And so at that point, I looked down, my jacket is shredded, my lapel is shredded, but I'm good to go. And it went through the pulley, and so I'm descending down, and now I'm descending all the way down to the ground, get all the way down to the ground, and the guard comes up, and my fellow soldiers come up, and I couldn't find words. I was so petrified and terrified over the experience that I just had, like something out of a movie, like a really bad thriller movie. First thing I did was, as soon as they got me out of the Swiss seat, went down and I kissed the ground, and I tried not to cry. I probably had some tears in my eyes because I just faced death, and but I made it. And the question I get asked a lot when people ask me about this story after I tell them, they're like, well, is your fear of heights worse now, or did you conquer your fear of heights? And it's a little bit of both for me, because in that moment, I realized I could face my fear, and it was just a mindset of controlling my thoughts, controlling my fear, and just going through the motion, taking it step by step, and I'd get through it. Am I still definitely afraid of a lot, heights? Yes, absolutely, which is kind of funny because I was a tech, and 30 feet up in the air in a ladder is certainly a far cry than extreme heights, right? So anytime I'm looking at any kind of heights at all, and I'm pretty close to a ledge, my palms sweat, my knees start to buckle. I don't know that I'll ever get through my actual fear of heights, but my ability to face my fear and try to conquer that fear and at least meet it head on, that I'm comfortable in doing, and that I learned I was forced to be put in a situation where I was forced to do that, and I think I'll be able to do that, for the remainder of my life. So hope you enjoy, and that's my VetNet story.